Welcome back to Market Day Report. Well, it's an exciting day. It's Wednesday. Tomorrow the markets will be open, and then we're gone for a while. I had a friend on X ask, Tommy, how can you do TV all day at RFD TV? Who's doing your job? And the answer is my brother, Joe Grisafi. Joe and I are partners over at with our new firm, Ag Bull Trading, and we partnered with Nesvick Trading here in Nashville. So yes, give the office a call. Operators are standing by. Phones always get answered. But let's talk about the markets. That's what I love to do. Markets and media. Today's a media day, but the markets are open. Let's get into corn. Looking at September corn, 407 up 1.5, 407.5. Not a bad looking board compared to where we were last night. December corn, 422 3/4 up 1. Looking at March and May, 438.5 up 0.5, and then May 449 1/4. Moving over to soybeans, they've been having strength, and it's so much more fun being in here quoting these markets up because we can feel the pressure of the American farmer when we have these lower sluggish prices. Of course, we grow 15 billion bushels of corn, and if corn moves $1, that's a lot of money flowing in and out of the ag economy. Looking at August soybeans, 1040 3/4 up 11 cents. November beans, 1036.5 up 9 1/4. Moving over to the wheat market, we're heading up to Chicago Board of Trade. Nice looking board here also. SEP Board of Trade wheat, 553.5 up 4.5. December wheat, 573.25 up 4. Hard red wheat heading out to Kansas City we go. September Kansas City, 535.5 up 4 1/4. December 559 up 4 1/4. A good looking board also. Spring wheat heading over to spring wheat, and this contract that we're looking at is I have to ask, I'm not sure if we're quoting up the Miami contract or the CME, but nonetheless there's a lot of arbitrage. There's two spring wheat contracts trading right now. They're competing against each other. We'll see who wins that battle. SEP spring wheat 637 up 8. Looking at Dees wheat, spring wheat 656 up 10. Heading over to cotton. Cotton 68.19 up 51. Dees cotton 68.61. Let's take a minute and head over to the outside markets. As Bubba and I talked about, we have a jobs report tomorrow. Looking at the Dow futures, SEP Dow 44,757 down 50. Look at the S&P 500 here. S&P 500's up. Last but not least, let's look at gold. How is gold doing today before we go on a commercial break? Gold market up a little bit. August gold front month, 3,352, up 3 cents. All right, we talked grains, we talked outside markets. Let's have a commercial so we can keep the lights on here. We'll be back with more Market Day Report right after this. Welcome back to Market Day Report. I'm happy to announce the cattle market is having a rally. Of course, it's a bull market. That's why I called my podcast Ag Bull Podcast. Of course, you can find me at Ag Bull Media across all social medias. But not enough about me. Let's get into the cattle market here. And then we'll bring our next guest, David, on. August live cattle only down 45. I say only because they were a lot weaker earlier in the day. October live cattle, 207.40, down 40. December, 207.92, down 42. Let's look at the feeder cattle market here and see what we have here. That's a good looking board. Feeder cattle were down as much as $2.5. 303.75 was the low in August, a high of 306.87, up 27. Not bad. I said it earlier. Nothing would surprise me in this market. SEP feeders, 305.87, up 22. Perfect. We'll go to hogs. And then we'll bring on our next guest. July hogs, 109.15, up 15. August hogs, 107.57, up 62. We look at Dees hogs, 83.75, down 32. We bring in Mr. David Anderson, Texas A&M. David, good to have you on, my friend.
Hey, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Give us the good news, or any news at that.
Well, any news, good or not, I guess. Looking at lamb markets, since we don't have a futures market for that, if we look at kind of cash markets going on, I think one of the interesting things to take a look at right now is here we are halfway through the year. And if we look at production numbers, we've actually produced more lamb than we did a year ago. through the first half of the year. Now we combine that with some bigger imports that we've seen so far this year, and we've actually got more product on the market than we did a year ago. Now that's sort of a contrast to some of our other markets like beef, where we're producing less beef. We're actually producing more lamb. Take a look at prices here. I think that contributes to some of this volatility in prices and decline in prices, as well as just reckoning with certainly more production. And that, in some markets, we're actually struggling with prices below a year ago. Not in our lightweight lambs, it's some up and downs, but in some heavier ones, we certainly are. I think that's a function of lots of supplies.
Yeah, I have to admit, when I go to Costco, I love buying lamb chops. I love marinating lamb chops. We've been talking barbecue all day here with the 4th of July holiday. I could smoke them on the Traeger. We got all types of stuff we could do. And of course, Tammy brings the desserts here, but she said she doesn't barbecue. She only makes sweets. Educate us. How many lambs are in America? Is that something you know off the top of your head?
Well, yeah, we got, if we look at the ewe flock, it's something in the latest data, something a little less than 3 million roughly ewes. We add to that a lamb crop that's at least 100% of the ewe crop, roughly. In some areas, much more than that, because lambs often produce twins. And so depending on where you are, the type of country they're in, we get more than that even. And like you said, seems like barbecue season to me too, and racks on the smoker turn out really great, make those great lollipops.
Yeah, I love lollipops. Real quick on the sad news, could lambs be affected by screwworm also as a mammal?
Absolutely. Really all of our animals. And, we've certainly got cases in southern Mexico of some people. So these things, this is a pretty big threat, I think. Now, it's true, compared to back when we had screwworms before, we've got a much smaller ewe flock and goat herd than we had back then. But still, this is a threat to all of our livestock industries.
Perfect. David, I could go on for hours. I'd love to have you on the Ag Bull podcast, because you know what? I've never interviewed an expert on lambs, but we got to hand it over to the dessert cart here to Tammy Shee.
All right.
You got to buy the cookbook. You got to buy everything here.
You do. And you say I don't grill the dessert. I will grill a peach, put some honey and cinnamon on it, and that is a great dessert off the grill. So there we go.
Wonderful.
All right. Thanks, Tommy.